Hello again, honky tonks. It is early morning here, somewhere in deepest, darkest Buckinghamshire. See those dark clouds behind me? I think that is a sign of things to come, not just for British politics, but for British society in general. Our way of life is changing, and it's not going to change for the better. It's going to change for the worse, and it is because of politics, ironically. Now, George Galloway, if you don't know who he is, then may I direct you to a video of him in front of a US Select Committee who are questioning him on his links with Saddam Hussein. Remember him? And he gives a masterclass of what he is good at. One thing you can't take away from the guy is he is a very smart, intelligent, articulate, well-spoken individual. Not many people can debate him and win. He's got an answer for everything. He's good at what he does. It's just a shame that he is batting for an ideology that would do away with him. Really. What's he going to do now that he has been elected MP for Rochester when he finds out who actually owns him? That was a dodgy by-election, and it was won with a 6,000 vote majority, and many of them were postal votes. I'm not a fan of postal votes. You can cheat like that. Look what happened at the US election and who they ended up with there. But that's another video for another time. But George Galloway being elected, and because of whom he represents, is a dark day for British politics. As for reform, not even a dent. Nothing whatsoever. Their candidate, though, to be fair, was hounded out by the people who supported, or the ideology that supports Galloway. So that should tell you everything. And if we are not careful, we will have other George Galloways springing up and down this country, this island, representing foreign interests like he does. It's ironic that, I think it's a massive kick in the bollocks to the constituencies and the people who live in Galloway, in Rochester, that his priority is going to be Gaza. There are so many things that he's fixing in Rochester, things going on, and they've allowed an ideology there to elect a guy to speak up for what they think should be done in Gaza between two other peoples, two enemies. I mean, what's the MP for Rochdale going to do for Gaza anyway? What can he possibly do? Is he just going to rock up and say to Israel, right, stop it, that's it? I'm the MP for Rochdale. Do as you're told, please. Thank you very much. No, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, folks. The Israelis and Benjamin Netanyahu are not going to listen to anyone whatsoever. Even Biden is having trouble with that. Then again, Biden's having trouble with everything, isn't he? He can't even walk properly now. It's like watching a robot or a puppet. He is a puppet, funnily enough. I've always said that guy's not running the US, it's someone else pulling the strings. Anyway, reform, back to reform. Now, I've had a bit of heat because of my video the other day I made of reform. People saying I'm overly critical of them, I'm not giving them a chance, but think of it like this. I've had loads of support, by the way. I've had more support than I've had criticism, but still the criticism was significant. Think of it like this. It's not that I don't like reform and Richard Tice. I've just pointed to you what's wrong. That's all I've done. I think we deserve better. You know, behind me. No one's behind me. I can hear footsteps. Is that me? Am I going nuts? I'm going nuts. We deserve better. If you are so blinded and so desperate for change that you are willing to accept organisations like GB News and Reform, which in my opinion have been presented, wrapped up, packaged with a big bow on top and a label that says alternative, that you're willing to swallow it, but I'm not, because we deserve better. We don't deserve establishment anymore. We really do deserve a real alternative, and there's not many of them. The ones that we do have are either just not worth your time, I don't think. Now, GB News and Reform, in that package that says alternative on it, you unwrap that box and inside you will see establishment. GB News is slowly revealing itself to be what it really is, establishment. Some of its presenters condemned Lee Anderson for what he said regarding Islamists and Sadiq Khan. Reform, is it Ben Habib, the 2IC? Second in command, the deputy, whatever they call him. He condemned Lee Anderson. Turns out Richard Tice asked George Galloway to run for reform. George Galloway to run for reform. He knew what the answer was going to be. There was no chance in hell of George Galloway running for reform, and if he had, what would that tell you? And by the way, George Galloway was congratulated by none other than Nick Griffin. Make of that what you will. But what we have now is a situation where a politician was democratically elected by a core voter that is a religious ideology. They're done with Labour. You know who they are. This ideology, this imported ideology, they're done with Labour because Keir Starmer wouldn't call for a ceasefire in Gaza. They're done. They can't get a change of leadership. Therefore, they've broken away. They've divorced from Labour and they're going at it alone. And George Galloway doing this, is it the British Workers' Party? Ironic, isn't it? He's the MP for the British Workers' Party and his priority is Gaza, Palestine. But this is the first in them gaining a foothold and getting into Parliament, and once they're in, they'll have their way, things will change. And we have people in Parliament too weak to do anything about it. Really too weak. Now people say to me, Paz, you're just a walker and a talker, you don't do anything. Well, when the time comes, I will fight for my country again. I'll fight for our flag, freedoms and democracies and our children. Because it's our children who will have to deal with this in the future. And I don't bloody rain it, look at that, on top of everything. And I don't intend to allow that to happen. I popped down the Cenotaph, I was there, ready to defend it myself, Simon Sideways, Russ, Absolutely Average, we were there. In case this ideology did decide to march past the Cenotaph and attempt to desecrate it. But they didn't, because they knew we were there. And that's that. That's my opinion. Like it or lump it. But I know there are thousands of you out there who like it. But trust me, just watch GB News, look at Reform, Richard Tice, and ask yourselves, do you deserve better than this? I think we do. We've gone through enough as a people. We've been let down so many times by political establishments that we deserve better, not just anything that's wrapped up and given to us as alternative. That's my opinion. And that's me, I'm done. It's going to piss on me, so I'm off. Thanks for joining me. I'm past 49, and until the next time, Roger Trouticles.